Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Coffee Corner. Today is your episode 97. Today we're going to talk about a book I'm currently reading. It's called Good Inside by Dr. Becky Kennedy. It is a guide to becoming the parenting you want to be. So you might think I'm going to talk about this book as a parent. Because of course, those people when they have kids are going to talk about kids. But wait a second. The reason I picked this book and I want to do it is not because it's a parenting book. It's more a book for myself to do self reflection on parenting, how parenting affects my childhood, how parenting affects my uh, personality, and how I think things, how I deal with my emotions and the relationships. And also, it's a book for myself to reflect on my own behaviors and understand my behaviors and then cure myself. So that's why I really want to talk about this book. And I haven't finished yet. I first got this book on my Kindle. I started to read it and I found it very interesting and decided to get a physical book. And then that is absolutely the right decision. So if you like a book, better get a physical version because you can make a note on it and it feels good. Anyway, so let's talk about that. So the first chapter basically talks about good inside the wall. It's like an introduction about this book. It makes me realize the influence of family of origin, how it can affect the way you think, the way you deal with your emotions, the way you handle close relationships. And I can see that because you know what? After that, it took me a very long time to get to where I am right now. Um, and also, what I really like this book is it didn't just mainly emphasize, oh, you know what? It's really terrible if you think about your childhood, think about your parents' style, or it really emphasizes the impact of family origin. It tells you that you can break the cycle, you can improve, and you can get the life you want as long as you put an effort. It doesn't sound like a parenting book, right? So that's why I like it. The first chapter has two themes. The first one is rewiring the circuit. What I learned about it is, it's never too late to start realize how to help yourself out. Yeah. Well, if your parents are willing to learn, you can even buy this book as a gift for them and then see if they want to read it. uh, for any kind of relationship, it's never too late to learn, it's never too late to rewire things. So in this book it says that you can always learn when you realize, oh, there's something I need to improve. I was thinking about myself when I had a meltdown when I was little. My parents' way to deal with that was just to quickly tell me to shut down the emotions and feelings I had at the moment and quickly put myself together and start to move on. So as a kid, I couldn't because I was a kid. How am I supposed to manage all the emotions? It seemed really overwhelming at that moment, but nobody told me what to do with that. And of course, for my parents back then, they were so busy with their work, with their jobs, with their making livings, so they didn't have that much time to, or they didn't have that much patience to deal with my emotions and feelings because back then that wasn't really important. Then for me, the impact of not being able to deal with my emotions and feelings is I didn't know how to manage it when I have it. For a very long time, if you follow me for a while, I was talking about depression, I was talking about anxiety. That's because I didn't know how to handle that big emotion. It was so overwhelming, so I decided to, give up. But those kind of things we were supposed to learn as a child. We were supposed to learn, it's okay to have negative feelings. It's okay to have meltdown. As long as my mom and dad, they're aside me and they're supporting me, they're going to say, it's okay, but take your time to let yourself free and then come back and then start a new chapter. But nobody said that because they didn't have time for it. So for myself, while that is the impact now, I don't really know how to handle my emotions and feelings very, or not handle, that's a word, or like a manage properly. And now with my little one, so when he cries, and then I'm thinking about it's okay, he's a good kid. He doesn't know anything. It's just he's having a hard time. It's not he's being bad. It's not he's attacking me, or it's not like I'm a bad parent. He didn't like me, so that's why he cries and screams. And for myself, because I've been saying that many times, I'm doing sleep training with him, and of course he cries pretty much every night. Sometimes a couple minutes, sometimes more than 10 minutes, and then it was very difficult for me to listen to him cry. It's very depressing for me. For a while, I felt like I was going to give up because I just couldn't listen to it. But then realized, you know what? It's necessary. It's good for him because after that, he went to sleep. He slept through the nights, and he woke up happy. And then he could play, he could learn, and he could do anything. And he had a more regulated sleep patterns. That's good for everybody, right? So I had to tell myself, even though I was being tough, I looked mean or I sounded mean there, I'm a good parent having a hard time, right? Try not to blame myself. And I remember during my postpartum depression, the main reason for that was uh, self guilt. And I was talking to my psychiatrist. She said, "Well, you have very strong self guilt." That was from my parents when I was little, right? So when I had a meltdown, when I had bad moments, when I cried or when I got injured, the first thing was not to come here and check out, is everything okay, or are you okay, or it's okay, nothing to be worried about. But back then when I was a child, I think my parents were always like mad at me when I got hurt. I think they weren't really mad at me. It was more like they were scared. They didn't know how to do. So they were how they were going to show that they care. They throw anger. So that was the way they deal with those unexpected situations or unwanted situations because they didn't learn how to parent, right? So for their generations, parenting wasn't such a thing. They just became parents and start to, you know, raise their child. That's how they do it. But for us, we have so much access to a lot of information online or anywhere. You can go there and learn things. So you start to be more aware of your children's mental health. And that's what we're talking about in this book is it's never too late to do it, right? So you are here, you want to learn, it's good. If you are, I don't know the profile of my audience there, but if you're 40 or 50, you have trouble talking to your kids or you have trouble communicating with your family members, think about if you have done something that hurt them before. Think about how you can actually rewire and then reconnect with them. That's the next chapter I want to talk about. Two things are true. Um, it really helps me a lot. And sometimes I feel like, and for my parents too, and maybe for you too, is they can only accept that one thing is true. If you only accept one thing is true, that means the other thing is wrong. So let's say I'm the parent, you're the child. If I say, well, you should not be mad when I tell you to eat vegetables, and then you will become like, oh, okay, so not eating vegetables is wrong. So having bad feelings about eating vegetables is wrong, and not feeling happy about eating vegetables is wrong. So all your emotions, all your feelings, all your thoughts are denied by your parents because the only true thing is I'm saying so, right? When you get denied and you feel not seen, you feel not felt, and then you start to doubt yourself, and then which is a self-doubt and then self-blame. Those kind of things are generated because how you get denied, how you get rejected. And you're denied as a real person. You're denied that your emotions should not exist at that moment. How are you going to grow, healthy or let's say mentally healthy? Because nobody tells you that you're supposed to have different kinds of emotions. Right? You think you can only have positive emotions. So when you have negative emotions, you're bad. But the theory of two things are true says that you're allowed to have totally oppositional thoughts. So, for example, I can be a very caring mom, but still feels exhausted, overwhelmed, still feels like I need my own alone time. Needing alone time doesn't make you selfish. But I know a lot of people saying that, oh, you cannot go take care of yourself. You cannot go have a bath. Or you cannot go out and do exercise or do Pilates courses or even take, do some manicure, pedicure, things like that because you're so selfish. You should not leave your kid here. No, two things are true is you can take care of your children. You can also take care of yourself. You can sometimes love your children, but sometimes feel annoyed by them. Yeah, We are people, we have emotions, we have feelings about things. We can't always be positive. We can't always be selfishless. We can't always be thinking about our child or our children because that's not healthy. And eventually you'll explode. Right? That's about two things are true. And also, when she mentioned the two things are true here, and the very important thing is feel felt or feel seen. It is very important in a relationship. Whether you have a relationship with your partner, with your friends, with your family members, even at work, it is very important to feel seen, to feel felt. And that's what I really want to talk about in this video is sometimes think about yourself. Is there any moments you feel so angry when people don't acknowledge your feelings? Okay. Would that escalate a whole situation into a fight eventually? And think about that too. Right? I can tell you a personal example of mine. So the other day I was talking about something about work and I was emailing the whole thing. So what I wanted to say that I felt like I was mistreated at work, uh, at university, and I wanted to say something to kind of speak up for myself. So I asked my husband about the opinion how to articulate the whole email and in a manner of being affirmative and also polite. And then she commented on, you shouldn't make a big fuss. And right away, I was like, I don't need your opinions on my behavior. I need your opinion on my English, not the behavior, right? So I was really furious. I got up and went to bathroom. I was like, okay, I'm going to calm myself down. Don't make a big fuss. Until I read that chapter, I realized at that moment when I felt mad at him because my emotions, feelings were not accepted, were not acknowledged, and myself was not seen at that moment. And he felt like it wasn't a big deal, but for me, it was. So, see, you see the different perspectives, right? I wasn't seen. So then I was thinking about my relationship with my parents. I found that the moments I had fights with my mom, and most of it with my mom, and sometimes with my dad, is when they were not listening to me. When I wanted to share my experience, share my stories with them, they never got the stories, they never got the point. They always commented on something else. So I felt like I wasn't seen, I wasn't felt by them, and they didn't care about me. And that moment, the whole situation has been escalated, right? And that's how we got into fate. So if they could read this book, I hope I'm going to buy one for them. If they could read this book and then start to understand me, and then they will notice that sometimes when I talk, I want them to listen, right? I want them to feel me. I want them to see me. Hey, I want to share something as a person, not as just a child in their perspective, because a child is not supposed to have so many feelings and emotions. You're not supposed to have so many opinions. When you do, you're not a good child. And then at work, same thing. When you are not seen, when you're not felt, and then a lot of things that you've done, you put so much effort, and people are just like, oh, why did you do that? Without telling you or without acknowledging your effort, you felt angry, right? And then with a relationship, if you have boyfriend, girlfriend, or you're in a marriage and you're thinking about when I share things with my partners and they never responded, you're not felt, you're not seen. And then now think about your kids. When they are telling you something you think, oh, it's so boring, they're not seen, they're not felt. And of course, you're not going to have a good relationship. So, two things are to help you understand your bad feelings when you have bad moments, bad situations, and it help you reconnect with your children. So, that's why it is really important to think I'm allowed to have negative feelings as a mother, as a girlfriend, as a wife, as anyone, right? You're allowed to have that. But also, you can be a good person, right? You have bad feelings doesn't make you a bad person. That's all you need to remember. So, this is something I wish my parents could learn. This is something I wish they could read this book and start to realize it's never too late to start to rewire the circuit. The second section in this chapter is the most generous interpretation. So, you don't assume bad, right? I know sometimes people think internal badness, internal goodness, and then you assume that some people just was born with internal badness. But that's probably like a very extreme case. So let's not think about that. But if you think about everyone is good inside, It's just they don't know how to do it. Then when you interpret that situation in this way, you start to think differently. You don't assume with the bad or mean thoughts about them. And then when you articulate that, you're less likely to hurt them. You'll be like, oh, I wish the other people could do that. But start from us first, right? And I was thinking, like, sometimes when I say something, I do hurt people because I know their weaknesses. I know how to attack them. But now I realize that, wow, that's probably because when I first don't judge a book by its cover. I think that will, best describe the whole saying, the most generous interpretation is that you want to assume they're good inside and then you start to talk about it. But think about how your parents treat you when you were little. So when you start to talk about something, did they say, why do you do this? You shouldn't do that. It's really bad. But they never ask you, why did you do it? Right? So maybe you get hurt and they say, why didn't they hurt other people? All right. So think about yourself if you ever had a moment like this. I'm only sharing this with you for the first two chapters. I'm still making a lot of notes on it. I want to really get to know this book, so I'm not going to talk too much, but I can keep going on and on and on. But what I want you to know is family of origin is a very powerful thing, but it doesn't mean you're going to stick to it forever. So you have to have the courage, you have to have the strength to break the cycle. But also you have to understand that when you break the cycle, you never can break free from it. You're going to pay a lot, right? I mean, not money wise. You're going to have to sacrifice at some point to break the cycle. It's going to be a battle between you and your parents, or you as a parent with your kid. So you don't want to do that, then you start from yourself. Also, if you want to, I don't know if this is going to work, if you want your parents to understand you more, this is really a good book for them. Give them, but if you have stubborn parents, they might consider this book as an insult. So do that carefully, do that with a caution. But I'm going to buy this book for my parents. They might think I want them to become a better version of grandparents instead of better version of parent. But think about it. It's never too late to learn, to be open for different ideas, different opinions. So far for the first few chapters, I think it's a really good book for me to think about myself. I've felt a lot of better every time when I had a hard time with my little one. I kept reminding myself two things are true. I'm allowed to have totally the opposite feelings. I can be a good parent, but also have really negative feelings. I can be patient while feeling exhausted, right? Those kind of things will help you get through the difficult times. But also, you want to know that if your parents treat you differently or your parents' styles have hurt you before, then you can start to think about why they hurt you and how you can break the cycle and move on and have your own life. Highly recommend this book. I will continue to talk about that while I'm reading it, but I hope you like this episode. So, see you next time. Bye.